What's going on, everybody? Back again today to bring you another video on the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series that has been announced for Netflix. And no, I'm not talking about the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe Revelation. I'm talking about the even newer one. We knew this one was coming. We knew we were going to be getting two He-Man Masters of the Universe shows on Netflix in 2021. We got Revelation. That shit was ass. And now we're getting this new one, and we've got a trailer for it now. And the trailer has me pretty divided, because while I like the updated animation, I think it's going to bring a new element of like action to the show. I'm not going to go into too much about the show itself. I have another video on the channel where I watch the trailer and then I talk about it. So check out that video, but just suffice it to say, I'm pretty torn on this new show. But I will probably end up giving it a shot. And the reason for that, and I want to go into something a bit further here when it comes to this He-Man and the Masters of the Universe show. Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, the former brand manager at Mattel for Masters of the Universe Classics, he did a video about why certain properties and franchises have to change over time. And some of the stuff he said I agree with, and some of the stuff he said it's not that I disagree with it, I know it's not true. And we're going to get into that stuff. So, is it necessary for franchises and properties to change? Yes, times change, and the stuff has to change and evolve with the times. That's 100% true. There are certain things, though, that do not change. And one of those is what attracts children to a franchise, property, toy line, doesn't matter, video game, doesn't matter. And that can be summed up with one word: coolness. How cool is the thing? Because if it's cool, and a lot of other kids, especially older kids, keep in mind we're still using the word kids here, so I'm not talking about teenagers, kids. As long as the thing is cool to kids, especially older kids, you're good to go. You're fucking good to go. Because I can tell you from personal experience that kids are super impressionable, and I guess impressionable is the best word I can use, but I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I had never heard of Dragon Ball Z, but I had a neighbor who lived across the street from me. He was 2 years older than me, and he was 5 years older than my younger brother, but we played and interacted with him all the time. And one day, I go over to his house, and I see he's got Dragon Ball Z action figures. And I have no idea what the hell it is. But he shows me. He shows me the toys, he shows me the cartoon, the anime, and I fall in love. And here's the thing about Dragon Ball Z. The entire premise of Dragon Ball Z is violence. It is. You can sit here and you can say, oh, it's about, never giving up and believing in yourself and good versus evil. Sure, but let's say we leave all of those themes in the show, we take out all of the actual violent fights. Do you still want to watch it? No, you don't. The theme of that show, the central aspect of that show is the violence. It's just the way it is. So I see that and I see it from him and I think it's cool. I'm like 7, maybe 8 years old at the time, and I'm like, this shit is dope. And my brother, if I'm 7 or 8, that means my younger brother was 4 or 5 years old. And we both come home and we both start wanting to watch the show in our own house, and we both start wanting to buy the toys, and my parents didn't say a damn thing. Never. They didn't give a shit that I was watching it, that this was super violent and I was watching it. They didn't give a shit that my 5-year-old or 4 or 5-year-old little brother was watching this super violent show where characters beat the ever-living fuck out of each other, kill each other, lop off each other's limbs, blow holes in each other's chests, did not give a shit. We got all the toys, we watched every episode that was on TV. That was our shit. We loved Dragon Ball Z because it was cool. Now, one of the things Scott Neitlich said was kids they quit playing with toys at an earlier age than they used to. That's because it's not about the toy. It's about what the toy comes from. The toy, it's got to come from a video game or a TV show or a movie franchise that the kids like and the kids think is cool. So as long as your property, your animated cartoon, your movie, your video game, as long as the kids think it's cool, they're gonna want it. And they will probably want the toys. The problem with Masters of the Universe, and the problem that it's had since its inception, they got away with it in the 80s because it was the fucking 80s. But the problem that it's had is you guys don't make it cool enough. You tone it down and you soften it up because we gotta protect the little kiddos. Now, all the adult fans of the 80s show are gonna shit on me and be like, you don't get Masters of the Universe, you don't get what it was about, like blah, blah, blah. Now we're getting into the part that Scott Neitlich was right about. This shit has to change. When the 80s were a nicer time, you know? It was a nicer time, and we gotta protect the kiddos, and we had to make He-Man. It was about action, not violence. Guess what, motherfuckers? It does not matter how much you, as a business, try to protect children's innocence. The children are gonna seek out whatever it is that they think is cool. And if they think that fucking violence is cool, they're gonna go seek it out and they're gonna find it, especially in this day and age. Like, the level of control you have to have over your children as a parent in this day and age with the internet to keep them away from shit that is arguably too mature for them, you have to be on your game. You have to be on point. And even if you use all the parental blocks and you passcode all your fucking shit in the house, doesn't matter, because where did I find Dragon Ball Z? At a friend's house. And that shit happened. I had older friends who introduced me to shit. I remember I had a friend growing up, same age as me, but he was not allowed to watch rated R movies. Me, I was allowed to watch rated R movies at 13 as long as there wasn't anything overtly sexual in them. You know, if I wanted to watch a rated R movie, like we were at the fucking video rental store because they had those back then, and I wanted to watch a rated R movie, my mom or dad looked at the back, they looked at the rating, and as long as it didn't say explicit sexual content or nudity or graphic sexual content or anything like that, they didn't give a shit. They said, watch it. Well, I had a buddy growing up who, same age as me, he was not allowed to watch rated R movies at that age at all. So guess whose house he loved to come over to? Mine, because we're over there watching all the shit that he's not allowed to watch at home. So his parents tried to control it. And keep that shit under control and under wraps. Didn't fucking work. He was still exposed to it. So as a company, as a toy company, a video game company, your attempts to safeguard the innocence of children, they're fucking laughable. I laugh at you. I fucking laugh at you. Just make the product as best as you possibly can. And it's not your problem. It's not your problem if children are exposed to it, because here's the deal. This idea that violent movies and TV shows and video games create violent humans is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. There are millions, if not billions, of people who grow up watching violent shit on TV and in movies. They play violent video games, and they grow up to be normal, law-abiding people. It's bullshit. So, Mattel, all the toy companies, video game companies, TV networks, all of you people out there who are up on this like high horse of morality, come the fuck down and just make this shit the way it should be. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about He-Man. This He-Man show will be cool. It will be perceived as cool by children, which will make them want to buy the toy. They'll make them want to get the toys. It will be perceived as cool if He-Man and the heroes fight Skeletor and the villains, and they actually fight them. We're talking He-Man beats the fuck out of Skeletor. Skeletor stabs, fucking cuts people. He-Man's got a giant ass sword. What do swords do? They cut and stab the shit out of other people and things. So He-Man needs to be just fucking hacking away at people in this. You can have some sword play, it's an animated show. And one of the things that I love about animation is you can do crazy ass stunt work because it's animated. So you can have He-Man doing some cool sword play and shit and whatnot and having cool fights with Skeletor, but the violence has to be real. If He-Man, like, oh my god, you talk about like trying to introduce the 1980s cartoon of He-Man to a kid from this day and age who's been exposed to God knows what through the power of the internet. And He-Man's just, you got these villains, and they're supposed to be these villains, and He-Man's just like picking them up and throwing them in a pool of mud. Kids laugh at you. They laugh at you. They're like, what are you talking? He-Man should be beating that dude's ass. He-Man should be fucking that dude up. But he didn't. And you want to talk about why the 2000X series failed? Yeah. He-Man being kind of naked was a factor. I'll admit, Scott, you were a little right about that. But kids would have gotten over it if the show as a whole had been just much cooler in that He-Man and the heroes were fucking fighting the villains. Now, I'll admit, there were a couple scenes where, fights happen. But, I mean, fuck, you had that show, that 2000X show, you had that show on the air when, like what we were talking about, Dragon Ball Z was popular, the DC animated universe, like Justice League Unlimited, those were popular. All these shows, and if you look at the successful shows for boys in the early 2000s, what do we look at? Yeah, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was popular, which is fine and whatnot, but those were popular because kids were able to take what they saw in the show and kind of make it real through the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game or through Pokemon trading cards or the Pokemon Nintendo handheld games. They were able to kind of make the show real for them. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, as real as it can get for a kid, is playing with toys. But if it's super fucking lame, the way that the characters interact with each other, then they don't want to, you have to make them want to take the toys and recreate the interactions that they see in the show. But if what they see in the show are characters interacting with each other in a really lame, wussy kind of way, then they don't want to take the toys and reenact it. Because why would I want to play in that imaginary world? That imaginary world is lame. That imaginary world is lame and it's just stupid. So kids don't veer away from something. Start over. Kids will play with toys if the toys are from a franchise, meaning like a movie, TV series, or video game series that they think is cool. And my central theme here is they're not going to think it's cool if it's all about friendship and believing in yourself and the power of love and goodness triumphing. No, they're going to think it's cool if an epic cosmic barbarian warrior beats the ever-living fuck out of some science fantasy evil minions and people like that. That's what they're going to think is cool. That's what little boys are going to think is cool. So, shit has to change. You're right. But the thing that remains static throughout generations is if children think it's cool, they will play with it. And what children think is cool, especially for little boys, it doesn't change. That doesn't change. You know? It's like I was watching the Power of Grayskull documentary on Netflix. And one of the guys, when he's talking about Castle Grayskull, he mentioned something like, you know, it's not necessarily a good place or a bad place. You know, it's got that shrouded in mystery, like there's a little bit of danger, a little bit of edginess to it. And that appeals to young boys. That appeals to, you know, they got to be a little dangerous. They got to be a little iffy. That's more or less along the lines of what one of the creators who worked on creating this franchise said. Okay? Fast forward, to the present day, it still rings true. Little boys, they want that element of darkness, that element of edginess, that element of badassery. So if you've got this just character who's just a giant Nancy wussy mama's boy, but he looks like he could fuck a dude up, they're gonna be like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this shit? What I'm telling you right now is, I don't have kids, but when I do, and if I did now, I would 100%, I would let them watch Dragon Ball Z. I would let them watch Justice League. I'd let them watch quite a lot of the animes out there that have large amounts of violence in them. And if there was a He-Man show, a good one, where He-Man was just fucking shoving his sword into the chest of a villain to the hilt and you saw blood come out, I'd let them watch that too. Because violent movies and TV shows and video games don't mean that, letting them watch that does not mean that they're going to turn out to be violent people. It's just a fucking show. So that's my take on that. Like, if you want them to play with the toys, they have to think that the thing is cool. They have to think that the thing that the toys come from is cool. And for a long time now, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, it hasn't been cool. That's what we were really hoping for with Revelation, is that it was going to be like, it was going to be the He-Man show from before, but it was going to be, the rating was going to be, it was going to go from a G rating up to like a PG-13. And we got that in the Revelation show, but we also got a whole bunch of other shit that we didn't ask for and we didn't like. Like, it's not hard. What we're asking for is very simple. You could take the original He-Man cartoon, enhance the fucking animation, and increase the rating to like a PG-13 level of content. Other than that, don't change a damn thing. If you release a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe show, and it is damn near identical to the 80s show, except it has better animation and real fights and PG-13 level content, it will be well received and kids will think that it's cool. They'll think it's cool. The older kids will think it's cool. And because the older kids think it's cool, the younger kids are going to think it's cool. You know how that works. So, yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's not about, oh, kids are just into screens and playing their video games. They're into what's cool. If you want them to like it, you gotta make it cool. Which means, in this day and age, you gotta up the content level. It's gotta be at least PG-13. So, yeah, because like 10, 11, and 12-year-olds, they're already at the PG-13 level. I'm telling you right now, they are, in this day and age. As much as parents, and we all know the fucking Hollywood and companies and shit, they like to try and like stand on this high pedestal of morality and be like, we have to protect the innocence. You're not doing shit. You're not protecting shit. They're still getting in all the violent stuff. They're still getting into it. So if your content doesn't contain it, they're going to say, fuck your content, and they're going to go find some better shit that does have what they're looking for. So that's that. Take that for what you will. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments below. Old school He-Man fans, feel free to shit on me. That's fine. We live in a country where it's legal to be wrong. So other than that, if you liked what you saw here, please hit the like button. Check out some of my other videos. Check out my reaction video and review video to the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe trailer. maybe subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.